Welcome to another Let's Talk About It Tuesday. We are chatting today with Marie McGrath from the TextLess Live More program. She's going to tell us all about the program, some things you need to know about it, how you can get it at your school. Take it over, Marie.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. I'm super excited to be here and talk to you guys today. I have a little presentation, and then we're going to go through some of the questions that you had and that you sent to Lauren beforehand. And I want to start with the caveat of anything that you have a question about or that you are thinking about when you're watching this presentation, even if you're watching it back after the fact, please feel free to jot that down and shoot me an email or shoot Lauren an email. Like, I would love for this to be an ongoing dialogue, especially now that things are changing so frequently. And we'll talk a little bit more about the ever-changing world during this presentation.
Yeah, so that's definitely the goal. We're recording everything for New York SADD that we talk about. We want to make sure everybody can go back to it no matter whether it's this week, next week, or 3 months down the line. So really excited to be able to have this content everlasting.
The beauty and power of the internet.
Yeah, right?
A great segue for what we want to talk about today. So I'm going to start sharing my slides if that's fine. Let me make this full screen. Oops, that's not what I want. Classic. Okay, so we are TextLess Live More. Some of you might have heard of us before. I know we've been working with SADD and partnered with SADD for a couple of years. And so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our mission overall, sort of our history, how we came about, and what we're working on today. And I wrote here sort of our revised-ish tagline, which is combating digital distraction inside and outside of the car. And we're going to talk about why that inside and outside component is so important. So I wanted to start off, I actually don't normally start here, but it feels right to start off this sort of intro TextLess Live More session with a little bit about our history. So this young woman here is Meade Levitan, and she is the inspiration behind TextLess Live More and the legacy that we are honoring every day with this work. So just a little bit of backstory. In 2013, Meade had just graduated from high school in Massachusetts, and for her summer vacation before starting college, she decided to embark on a cross-country bike trip, which I don't know about you, maybe we have some avid cyclists, sport people out there, but to me, that seems like a challenge that I would never be able to face. So that really speaks to her character, super adventurous young woman, really brave and eager to explore. So she was with a group of teenagers, actually. So they all set off going east to west from South Carolina, and they made it to Arkansas when a young man, 21 years old, who was driving down the highway was texting, and he struck the group of riders from the back, and he injured a handful of them. It was a group of 10 people on their bikes, and Meade was the most critically injured of those students and leaders. And unfortunately, she passed away due to the injuries that she sustained during that crash. So obviously, our history is rooted in this extremely tragic incident, which unfortunately is familiar to a lot of Americans right now. And we'll get into some of the statistics on fatalities and injuries caused by distracted driving. But for her friends who were returning to high school that fall, they obviously were grieving and felt like they needed to take action and do something in order to prevent this from happening to another community. So they started TextLess Live More at their high school in Massachusetts. And it started out just as a club at a school to try and raise awareness about the dangers of distracted driving and to honor and preserve the legacy of Meade and passing on her spirit and her vivaciousness and her, thirst for life that touched all the people that knew and loved her. And from there, it just sort of grew and grew because the message is so strong and so resonant with so many people. And that's how we ended up in 2017, I think. I'm losing track of time here in this quarantine, partnering up with SADD and really starting to spread this mission nationwide, which is so amazing. So I share this obviously because it's I think, essential to understanding TextLess Live More and where we come from, what we do, but also because the history of TextLess Live More really speaks to the power that young people have to make change. And I know that if you're watching this, you probably are a student or a person whose job it is to empower and engage young people and to teach them all that they're capable of. So I think that it's nice to start here, because TextLess Live More is an example of how when young people put their heads together, they can actually make an impact and change the world. So that's sort of the driving principle of TextLess Live More. We really strongly believe that young people have boundless capacity to improve our world. So a little bit of distracted driving information. Obviously, most of you are probably really familiar with distracted driving as a subject area in traffic safety. It's gotten a lot of attention in recent years for good reason. It's an epidemic in this country that's costing us 9 American lives every single day. This other statistic I have here, I think is interesting, that 50% of teenagers admit to reading a text message or an email while driving in the past 30 days. And if you look at other statistics, you can see that most teenagers also acknowledge that distracted driving is bad. So the fact of the matter is, we have a population of people who are aware of a dangerous behavior but are participating in it anyway. So that's kind of what, when I came to this work at first, it's kind of like, okay, how do we attack that impulse, right? Like, what do we do if people already know? It's not just about not knowing that distracted driving is bad. It's about knowing that it's bad and then doing it anyway. So how do we change that secondary behavior? And I think that what that led me to this question of bringing in digital dependence and digital wellness content to the front of the TextLess Live More conversation. And often we get questions about what does phone addiction or digital wellness have to do with distracted driving? Like, why is that part of the TextLess Live More menu? So I have some digital wellness facts here that I think really do sort of give the answer to that question. 70% of teenagers use social media multiple times throughout the day. 16% of teenagers report that they use social media almost constantly. And obviously these are self-reported. This data is self-reported. So to me, that's a huge sticking point. Like, if that many teenagers would categorize themselves as using social media almost constantly, we can definitely assume that these numbers are probably in reality a little higher due to self-reporting issues. And that is alarming to me. And then the last one really is the one that sticks out the most to me, which is that 47% of people in America don't have a single meaningful in-person social interaction every day. And that means that they're not connecting in a way that's significant with another person in a way that affirms their humanity, which is really catastrophic when you think about the way that we work as social creatures. And this is especially interesting to consider now during the time of COVID, when we are all physically distant from each other, but we're going to get there a little bit later. So basically, the idea behind TextLess Live More and the reason that we loop in this digital wellness content is because we believe that if you're addicted to your device at your desk, in bed before you go to sleep, or when you wake up in the morning, when you eat dinner, you're also addicted to your device in the car. This device doesn't care where you are. The addiction is really, really powerful, and it affects you regardless of where you are. So even if you are driving and you know that the stakes are really, really high, if you look down at your device, you could literally cause a crash, and that could cost you your life or someone else's life. The device doesn't care. So we really need to make an effort to change our habits all across the board. So beating that phone addiction in the car, outside of the car, and really everywhere that you find yourself. And that's kind of, our programming is designed to do that. So I'll get into some of the details about how we help to build healthy habits and healthy relationships with our devices. But I think that a good way to break down our mission is through our name. So we like to talk about having like a 2-part mission, a 2-tier mission. So the first part is distracted driving, right? It's always our priority. So the TextLess portion Really, like, if you're mindful of distraction when you're driving and you never ever engage with your device behind the wheel, if you text less, then you will live more in that you will keep yourself and keep the people around you safe on the roads, whether those people are drivers, passengers, pedestrians, or cyclists, just because you're focused on the road and not on your phone. And then the secondary definition, sort of the more broad one, the digital wellness component, is if you text less or if you prioritize living in the real world over living in the virtual world, then you will live a more present life. You will live a better life, and you will be more engaged in a meaningful way with the people and things that you love. So that's really what we're after. Keeping people safe, keeping people from ever having to experience a tragedy like the friends and family of Merritt Levitan experienced, and also improving people's lives and helping them to have technology be an asset to their life and not a detriment to their life. So, how to get involved. There are a lot of different ways that you can launch TextLess Live More, and it is really easy to get started. The general path that I like to advise people who are just starting out with TextLess Live More is to start with the pledge. So you can see here in this photograph, we have sort of a creative version of the pledge, a pledge banner that we have in the center. I pledged to never drive distracted, and all the students came and signed it in a beautiful way. And a lot of schools and communities like to do the pledge this way because it's nice to display it, and it's a good reminder to keep up in the hallway or somewhere where folks can see it every day, just to keep that pledge in mind. We also have pledge sheets on our website that you can download, and we have pledge cards, which I'll actually show you in a little bit. Then the second component is to utilize the Get Living campaign. So the Get Living campaign is our foremost program that we use. It's a monthly initiative. It runs from January to December every year. So it's a New Year's resolution that's designed to actually be kept, because every month it's sort of different. So you never get bored or just sort of burn out of your resolution. And it is completely designed for teens by teens. So we work with an amazing national student leader board of SADD students from across the country who develop all of our programming, including the Get Living campaign. And this is the first year that it's actually completely student designed. So we're really, really proud of that and excited about that. And so basically the way it works, I can get into this a little bit more later, but is every month there's a different initiative that helps you to form a healthy habit with your device. So it's essentially like helping you take those baby steps towards overcoming digital dependence and taking control of your digital life. So each month there's an initiative, and then there's a corresponding event idea. So if you are working with a group or trying to get more people involved, there it comes with an idea for a way to actually like activate on this initiative in a group setting. And we did that just because we know that a lot of you who are listening and a lot of the people who are engaging with TextLess Live More are either really busy students or really busy teachers, coaches, administrators who, although you all have like a lot of good ideas and a huge amount of capacity for creativity that I'll talk about in a little bit, sometimes you just need something that's easy and ready to implement. And this can be that for you. And then finally, organizing a workshop. So this can be something that you organize with myself or with my team. We do normally during the year travel a great deal to come to events and speak to students and administrations and communities about TextLess Live More and help them launch and facilitate workshops that way. You can also, we have a student presentation, so you can download the presentation and the facilitation guide so that your students can give presentations, which we actually love. I prefer, and my whole team prefers, to let the students take the wheel and let them be at the fore of the conversation while we sort of take a backseat and just kind of make sure that everything's running smoothly and providing any information that we need that's supplementary. But we love to see students getting involved in really delivering this information to their peers, because we really believe in the power of, like I said before, peer-to-peer dialogue and student-led change. So those are the three main stepping stones of getting involved with TextLess Live More. And obviously there are lots of ways that you can get involved. I mentioned like sort of being more creative if you want. We have had a lot of schools and communities in the past engage in unique ways that they came up with on their own. Like we've had like TextLess Live More unplugged dance parties. We've had sort of like bake sales, but instead of paying with money, you hand over your phone for an hour and hang out unplugged with your friends. Really, we love to see that sort of innovation. So there really are like two ways to get involved. You can follow the guidelines that we have or follow our month-to-month initiatives exactly if you want, because that's really easy, or you can take it in a totally different direction. It's completely up to you, and our team is happy to support you in creating your own content, creating your own event ideas, and really doing whatever you feel will work for you and your community, because we recognize that so many schools and communities are different. So here you can see we've got some students hanging out, talking about TextLess Live More. Those are actually the students of our engagement board that I mentioned earlier. To the right of that photo, you can see the TextLess Live More blue bracelet, and I have mine on too. It's really dirty and disgusting, so I won't show it to you for too long. But that's something that you can order for your events. If you're doing an event with a large group of students, we'll actually send you bracelets for free. So that's something that we can talk about a little bit later. Below the bracelet photo, you'll see the pledge. So you can read that. That's the full text of the TextLess Live More pledge. And we have that available in like a postcard size and in a business card size. So you can hand those out to students. The business card one is really nice to like keep in your wallet. So like I've had people come to the table and take a handful and they'll give them out. A really good way to just, keep that pledge that you made to yourself nearby. So you can keep it in your car, on your dashboard, in your wallet, whatever floats your boat. And then finally, we have this write a love letter to someone you love, which is part of what we're doing on social media right now as part of our Together Apart campaign to try and help folks stay present during this weird time that we're in. It's really unusual for everyone, of course, especially for those of us like TextLess Live More, our team, and SADD, who work in traffic safety and digital wellness and combating distraction. When we're talking about digital wellness, right now, all of our screen time is absolutely through the roof. And this presentation is actually a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Normally, I would be in New York talking to you in real life. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we are relegated to being behind the screen. So really, we've been working hard to try and figure out how to counteract that increased amount of screen time, the fact that we're working via computer, we're learning via computer, we're socializing via computer, trying to counteract that with ways that help us feel present and help us feel connected to one another, even though we are physically not together. So we have, and this is all online, obviously, we have Live More 101, which is a web series that we developed. It comes out every Monday on the TextLess Live More website and on our Instagram. And it features a different person every week that it basically teaches you something that you can do to try and live more. So we had one that was desk yoga to try and like help you physically be well and maintain good posture while you're sitting at your computer all day. We had one about social distancing. We had one about organizing your digital workspace. So really good tips there. And we're featuring lots of cool folks that we work with, partners from different organizations and different members of the TextLess Live More team. So that's pretty fun. We have Together Apart, which is a blog series that comes out every Friday. And that's also focused on featuring different voices, diverse voices of people who work in different fields or are at different phases of their lives, whether that means they're high school students or college students or professionals. And everyone is writing about their experience, some of the difficulties and changes that they have experienced during COVID-19 and how they are living more and how that's helping them to continue on and to thrive as much as possible during this time. And then finally, we have webinars and e-workshops on an as-needed basis. This is an example of one of those. Our team is really, really excited to keep the dialogue going during this time. So if you want to have an event with us, that's going to be a digital event, we're happy to put together a workshop or a webinar online for you and for your community, whether that's students or family members or faculty. to talk about digital wellness or to talk about distracted driving during this time. Distractions are an all-time high. So you can get in touch with me or with Lauren to schedule that. Here's my email address, mcgrath@sad.org. And then here are our socials. That first one with the underscore is our Instagram, and the second one with no E in text is our Twitter. And we're posting pretty much everything that we can on our socials. So it's a good way to keep in touch with us. And you know, the irony of all of our content and all of our engagement being digital is not lost on me or on my team. But I think it's really an interesting opportunity for all of us to learn together how to make this work and to find ways to connect where we otherwise wouldn't have. So obviously super uncertain times, really scary times for a lot of us. And we like to think that there is an opportunity here. So we're really excited to hear from you and to work with you through this time and to help you fight distraction.
And I will say definitely for New York, this is something that, you know, we've been in contact, you and I have been in contact for a while and trying to figure out, oh, when can Marie come up here? When can we get some events together? How can we really make this work? And I think this might be a good kickoff point because now everybody can see this conversation that we're having. They can take the download of information and kind of start thinking about what kind of virtual notifications can I do? What kind of things can I do with TextLess Live More that I can do now social distancing wise? And then in the future, how can I translate this to actual on the ground programming?
Definitely.
Which is, you know, this is fine. It's okay.
It is. I think you're absolutely right. Like this is a nice way to get to know TextLess Live More and sort of to figure out either kind of like individually or like while we have this space to reflect, to figure out like where TextLess Live More fits in for your community, because we do have sort of a wide array of touch points. And then once we can all gather, we can really work on customizing something that makes sense for your population.
Yeah, I think I personally have had a lot of like weird, brilliant ideas in the middle of the night at like 4 a.m. So I know this is something that a lot of our chapters are thinking about, new ways that they can really re-energize their SADD work, the things that they're doing on the ground with their chapters, how to kind of breathe new life into their chapters, get new folks involved on board. And this is one of those ways that we can really kind of freshen up the work that we're doing. All about it. So we had a couple of questions from our students, some things that I've been asked since starting.
Cool.
Hold on. Getting there. Technology.
Love it.
So I think you've addressed a lot of them in what we talked about already, but what are some of the topics or the presentations that you guys typically do when you go to a school? What do they look like? How does that kind of roll out on the ground?
Yeah, that's a great question. So really, we can do anything. So it depends on where you are in your TextLess Live More journey. So, and it also depends on the format. So ideally, our presentations are more like workshops. So they're super interactive, really activity based. So if you're new to TextLess Live More, if this was an in real life IRL presentation, I would be providing you all of this information, but we would also be doing a lot of small group work, getting to know our habits through the tools and resources that we have available to us on our devices. We would talk in more detail about distracted driving, and usually I like to incorporate a little bit of local flair. So each state has different laws, and whether that's GDL laws or distracted driving laws, and really just digging into those a little bit. And obviously the facts and statistics about distracted driving are different on a state-by-state basis, so we can really dig into that. Sometimes we have communities who have had a particular issue with distraction in the past, so taking that into account and incorporating that into the presentation. But really, like we have sort of like the intro presentation, which is kind of like from 10,000 feet. And then we can go more granular. So it can go just distracted driving, it could go just New York distracted driving, or it could go just digital wellness, or even more specific, you know, if I came this month was supposed to be Distracted Driving Awareness Month. It's been postponed, but we would do something specific with Get Living April and talking about some activities that we have in place for Distracted Driving Awareness Month, or it could be like specific to whatever month it is that year, if that makes sense.
Totally. I think one of the big take homes too is for all of our students to understand that this isn't just us trying to come in as adults and lecturing at you. This is a interactive presentation, a conversation really on where we're going with digital wellness, like figuring out where we're at, where we want to be and how to get there. And that's more of what you all are looking for in your chapters. That's the thing I hear constantly. You know, we're looking for more of that hands-on experience, more of that like simulation, real world stuff instead of the lecture. Yeah.
And I know I mentioned this earlier, but I do really want to emphasize that for me, a successful visit is not like I am a keynote speaker and I'm like up at the podium, you know, being a purveyor of wisdom, because really I have information and knowledge that I'm willing to share, but the power and the experience that is valuable in this work is that of the students. So really, I would rather hand the microphone to them and just serve as sort of like a structuring force, and really just providing the resources that I have and letting the students run with them.
I say that all the time. That's something that I'm looking for too. We have such amazing students that are doing such great proactive prevention work, and they really need to be at the forefront. So please take everything that we're giving you and run with it. This doesn't need to be like the Marie and Lauren show, although that would be cool too. So a lot of students have asked me, you know, I looked at the Get Living guide, I looked at some of the activities from TextLess Live More. Do I have to do them all when they're laid out? You know, we have January, February, whatever. Do I have to do it then, or can I do it another point? You know, that already passed, but I really like the idea. How would that work?
That's a great question. You can do whatever you want is kind of the answer always. The following the calendar, I mean, there are some benefits. Obviously, this year is totally an anomaly, and this semester especially is like kind of messed up. Or our plans have been disrupted, I should say. But usually, when things go back to normal in the fall, we have contests that we run concurrently with the months. So if you're participating month to month with your chapter, or even just with your friends or your family, you can win stuff. So that's really the only benefit to like following along. But honestly, like if you know, you're like right now it's April and you're looking at the calendar for the first time, you're like, oh, I really like the January idea, like rats, like do whatever you want. It's totally fine. And you can see, I'll actually share again quickly if that's fine.
Yeah, how about
it? So if you go to textlasslivemore.org/getliving, you can see this, right?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, great. So you have all the information, inspiring photos, etc. You can see the calendar is here and the full PDF is here. So every single month is available online at any time of year. So you can definitely just like live your truth and work out of order if you want. And you can also access the information from last year. So you can really just like peruse the full menu of TextLess Live More, Get Living stuff and just choose whatever suits your fancy. And that's totally, I mean, it's beyond fine. It's, you know, whatever works for you works for me and works for the TextLess Live More team. So go for it. And if you read about the Get Living campaign and you're like, wow, I love this idea, but none of these initiatives are really speaking to me, I think maybe we could do this instead. Like, absolutely have at it. And I would love to hear about it because I think it's like so exciting. And when people come up with their own ideas, and to me, that means that it's working because you guys are taking this and making it your own, because it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you. So would love for you to make it your own, however you say.
I would second and triple that 100 times. We want to see more of your input, particularly from New York. You know, we've been kind of quiet in New York for a long time. So now is really our opportunity that we have all these great connections, that we have this amazing connection to Marie and the TextLess Live More team to get your voices out there, start using some of that brain power and put it into action. So I know you sort of addressed this before too about the bracelets, but I know that there's other swag from TextLess Live More. How do we go about getting that?
Excellent question. So I was going to show you, so you can order it on the website, and I was going to show it to you on the website, but really for you all, SADD New York, like you don't have to, if you want to order it and you have the resources at your school to pay for t-shirts or stickers or bracelets, have at it. You can go to the website and click on order gear. But we don't want, our swag to be a barrier for participation. So if you're like, oh, I really want to do this, but we need the bracelets and the stickers and we don't have the funding, like that's not an issue. We're happy to send you whatever you need for your events. So what we have right now is the blue bracelets. We have like information pamphlet. I know kids don't really like pamphlets anymore, but some people do. So we have them. We have the pledge cards in, I think I mentioned this, like small version and postcard version. We have 2 kinds of stickers, one that's like for water bottles and one that's smaller that's designed to be put on your phone. Soon we're gonna have like a kit that you can order that's like a starter pack. So it's like you get all the stuff to do like a pledge banner and you get some bracelets and some stickers, like just to get stuff rolling. So really the best way to do that is to get in touch with Lauren and or me, probably Lauren, who will then get in touch with me because, and I know that like Lauren, you have a bunch of materials too that are designated for people. So if you need 10,000 bracelets, that's different, but if you need 10,000 bracelets, like we are pumped and I want to know more about that. But yeah, so the access to the swag should be free to a certain point. The only thing that costs extra is t-shirts, and t-shirts are actually like often like a contest item. So if you're participating in the initiatives, you can win t-shirts for your chapter anyway. So basically the short answer is if you want stuff, you can email Lauren, and Lauren either will send it to you or she will tell me and I'll send it to you.
Perfect. And I'll just kind of piggyback off of that too. We had chatted with Chris last week about fundraising and all of the things that you can do to gain some funds for your chapter. You can use those funds, of course, to buy swag from TextLess Live More, which I think would be incredible. So check out that video that we did last week. It's also on IGTV. On how to get some ideas for local fundraising. You're not going to need a whole lot of money to buy t-shirts or any kind of swag. So that's an idea. I guess I'll kind of wrap up too with something that you just reminded me of that I ask of my chapters all the time because it's so important. Data to us is like gold. We really need that data. We need that reporting. And I ask our chapters consistently, please let me know what you've been doing. I really need to follow up and know how active you are, what programs you're working on. What does that look like for TextLess Live More?
An amazing question. So we're actually working on redoing our website right now during this time. And we're hoping to incorporate a more streamlined process for reporting back how things go. Similarly to you on the state basis, for us, it's super important to know what you're doing just so we can make sure that our programs are effective and that you like them, because that's the most important thing. So right now we have a Google form that you can fill out and just let us know like, hey, it's really short. It's basically like, did you have a pledge event? Did you have a Get Living event? Did you have another kind of event? Are you a SADD chapter? What month was it? Was it good or no? So it's pretty straightforward. We're hoping, like I said, to make that more streamlined and integrate it into our website. We're going to have a new pledge function in our website so that all our pledge can be digital, so we can have sort of like more of a rolling count of folks who have taken the pledge, which is super exciting. And also, obviously, you can reach out to me personally via email. If you want to give us feedback, you can always slide into the DMs on Twitter or Instagram, because we're a small team, so everything gets passed to everyone, basically. So any way that you want to reach out to us and let us know if something went really well, that's awesome. Especially, we love to see photos of that stuff too, because we love to feature you guys on our socials and on our website. Like, we love to see what y'all are up to. If something didn't go well, please let us know and we'll make edits as we need. And just, we'll make sure to keep you guys posted on updates to the website and let you know when all of that stuff is ready to rock on our new site. And I will also make sure that the link to the Google form is accessible to you so that you can let us know about events. Even if you had an event like 3 months ago and you're like, oh snap, I never reported it. Like it's not too late. It's rolling.
Never too late.
No.
I say that all the time. You know, our Google Forms are really short. We try to make them super accessible, and it doesn't have to rely on advisors to do it either. You have a whole chapter like e-board or chapter officers that can do this. It takes 2 seconds. I trust that you can fill out a Google form by the time you're in high school. So please just fill out the form.
Sure.
We don't ask much. Anything else you want to share, Marie, before we let you go?
Yes, I mean, there's always more to share, but I just want to say that I've been super inspired by the ways that people are engaging during this time. And it's been really fun to connect with people online in a new way since everyone's home. And I know that everyone's lives are kind of turned on their heads. So please don't hesitate to reach out. It's really, really fun for us to see that you like the content that we're putting out, that it's helpful, or like if you have an idea for something that you think that we could be sharing that would be useful to people, like we definitely want to know about that. I mentioned the Live More 101 webinars and the Together Apart blog. If you want to contribute to either of those, if you're like, oh, I have a great idea for an episode of the web series or for a blog, we would love for you to be a contributor. So please email me and we will put you into the rotation, because we want the whole idea for those two concepts is to like build this army of voices from all over the place, so that everyone can really feel each other's company and feeling like we're together in this unusual way. So we would love to have New York voices on those platforms. And we're really excited. I'm super excited to come to New York when we're back online in the real world, because I haven't been to do an event in New York yet. And New York is one of my favorite states there is.
Well, we just love you too. And I think it's important for New York to jump on board also because of the history of the program, and it's starting right here in Massachusetts. You know, we share a border. There are some of our SADD chapters that literally sit on the border of Massachusetts. So it's something I feel like we personally need to be very involved in. To support the mission, to support Merritt's family. It's important for New York. So I'm challenging our New York chapters to do this too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we thank you so much, Marie. I appreciate the download on all of the info, how we can go forward. SADD chapters, reach out to Marie, reach out to me. We will get something going. I definitely want to tag team with Marie and get her up here to do some programming. So let us know. We're excited to work with y'all. Give us a shout.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. Appreciate it.
So thankful for you being here. Thanks, Marie.
Bye.
Bye.